Different people saw it different ways. For some, it was confusing. For others, it was exciting. For everyone, it was another choice. Competition is good. It drives everyone to another level, a higher level. We competed with familiar faces, with fresh faces, with new technology, with fresh ways to look at news. It's been a whole year already. We know we're better off for it, and we think Central Alabama is too. It's been a year of firsts, a year of triumphs, a year to remember. On ABC 3340.
Good evening, I'm Brenda Ledun.
And I'm Josh Thomas. It was 1 year ago today that ABC 3340 brought a new kind of television to the viewers of Central Alabama when we signed on the air September 1st.
It's been a year of dramatic change for Central Alabama, and through it all, you've welcomed us into your homes more quickly than we ever dreamed possible. And for the next 30 minutes, we'll take you back through our proudest moments and show you what we have in store.
We begin with a look at how the station was born through the eyes of the people who made it happen.
You know, the talk across the state was this new ABC station, and I wanted to see it physically. And when I came to interview, you know, we were in the temporary building, and I was relieved to come over here and actually see bricks, you know, being put together and people working on it. So the mystery was solved that day when we saw it.
There was so much going on, you just couldn't stop to think. I mean, you couldn't get bogged down in anything because there were 20 other things that had to be done.
So there was a lot to do. But, and through most of it, I had the same feeling I always had 15 minutes before producing a news program. You always have that kind of stomach churning thing where it's either going to happen or it isn't. And I think almost from the beginning I had the idea, yeah, we'd be on the air September 1st.
The biggest challenge we had, of course, when we see our fellow workers in the field from the other stations, they always wanted to have an update, and of course we had to sugarcoat it and make it sound good for them that we were going along, everything was smooth.
We went through a lot of scenarios about a lot of what ifs. The bottom line was we rejected all of those and just said somehow, some way we have to make it.
Walking through those double doors that Monday and seeing 60, 70 people was overwhelming. It was, but I thought, I knew some of the people and I knew where they were from, and I said, there's no way with all of these people and all of this talent we can do anything but succeed, and so far I think we have.
I remember people walking all over each other, stepping over cables, and people bringing in receptionists, news reporters, engineers, people bringing in boxes, helping each other move in, all leading up, you know, to the excitement of what happened, you know, in September. That first night, it was incredible.
And I remember when we went on there at midnight, everyone was in the studio, and there was just a big celebration for being on the air because we knew that we were about to do something that no one thought we could do. And we're, as everyone has seen right now, we're in the race for #1.
Our very first newscast, of course, was delayed about 15 minutes because of the end of a golf tournament. And we were sitting there and having to roll over in our minds, is this going to work or not? We'd had 3 days of rehearsals. Everybody was very anxious that we were still installing equipment that was vital to us to get on the air. And
I was sitting next to our producer at the time. I was supposed to be there to keep her calm, to guide her through it. She was extremely calm. She knew what was happening. I was bouncing off the walls.
I was totally overwhelmed, but I wasn't going to let anyone know it. That was the thing.
A few minutes later, we hit the air. Yeah, I just stared up at the screen, and I remember something that will be with me for the rest of my life was when I saw that open roll and saw that helicopter take off for the first time, I knew we'd done it. And in 2 months, we had come from philosophy to being a TV station.
Now live from studios in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and Anniston, this is the Weekend News on Alabama's ABC 3340.
Good evening, I'm Diane Patterson.
And I'm Josh Thomas. Here's what's happening. What many skeptics said couldn't be done is done, and on time.
I don't remember anything that was in that newscast, but I remember probably the biggest thrill in 25 years of seeing it go on the air. and looking at the faces of the people that we had brought in to do the job, and basically seeing very pleased, very proud people.
Coming together as a new station and a new group of people, you don't really know who you're dealing with. So the first thing that I remember was, it was around 8 o'clock at night. The scanners had just been put in, and Castle had dialed everything in, put all the frequencies in, and I'm still getting used to it. And all of a sudden I remember Castle running to the desk and hears something that I didn't hear, and hauls butt out the door, and we have 3 people shot, and we open our 10 o'clock with, we have exclusive coverage. So I think that was, I knew things were going to be rocking and rolling from then on.
The first story on that first newscast that night at 10 o'clock when we led the show, and it said, we begin our show with breaking news, exclusive breaking news.
This is the Night Team on Alabama's ABC 3340.
We begin ABC 3340's first 10 o'clock newscast with exclusive coverage of breaking news.
Right now, Bessemer Police and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department are on the scene of a triple shooting. Around 8:30 tonight, shots rang out on Avenue R in Lipscomb. When police arrived, they found 1 person dead and 2 others wounded. The wounded were taken to UAB Hospital, where they are both in stable condition.
We had like 3 exclusive stories right off the top. I mean, very first day, it was great. It was great. Everybody's involved. Everybody is just, it was good.
It was a wonderful feeling of elation and just fierce pride for not just myself, but for everyone, the 120 people that put this station together. That was, I can't describe how that felt. I was overjoyed.
It was fun. I think it's an experience of a lifetime, and I wouldn't want to do it again. I'll just be honest, I would not want to do it again. But it was quite a learning experience.
Yes, we were on the air. Yes, it had all come together. It was at the end of a week in which we'd all worked more than 100 hours. I remember standing there and tears coming down my cheeks, and just, we had made it. And so many people had bet that we would not. And there were days when, I think all of us thought, God, are we going to make it? Can we pull this off? And we did.
As you can see, the television station has meant a lot to us, and we certainly hope that it's meant a lot to you as well.
And while sign-on was a big moment for us, another came just 1 day later, when the school fires in Coleman became our first major news story. We'll take a look at that story and some of the other big stories that we've covered over the past year when this ABC 3340 special, A Year to Remember, continues. Those of us in the news business tend to mark the passage of time by the number of stories that we've covered.
From tornadoes to hurricanes to school fires, from new coaches to new vehicles to new leaders. It's been a very busy year for ABC 3340.
We're going to take a look back now at some of the stories that we've covered over the past year in news, weather, and sports. And for that, we turn now to Dave Baird and Linda Mays in the ABC 3340 studio.
Josh and Brenda, this anchor desk may only be 1 year old, but it's already seen just about every kind of story imaginable.
And over the past year, we've had more than our share of big stories to report from the very first day we went on the air.
Our biggest news as we hit the air was the news itself, our sign-on, and how it would change television in the Birmingham market. But less than 24 hours later, we got a chance to show how much news would change over the next year.
We have pictures on the walls from graduating classes from 1934 on, and records of kids, former students that you just can't really duplicate them,
All day, hundreds have gathered, wanting answers, catching a glimpse of the destruction.
They woke me up, and I come over here, and it was just in flames, and everybody was just crying, and we all gathered around and prayed for our school.
Although everyone in this community is devastated, the principal of West Point High School says that he's glad to see that the community is pulling together.
If they picked on West Point, they picked on the wrong community.
Later in September, we made our mark with exclusive video of a hostage standoff in Livingston and its violent end.
It all began at 8 o'clock last night. 32-year-old Neil Henry Rich walked into Noble's truck stop with a gun in his bag. Rich pulled the gun following an argument with the manager about a bottle of beer. All except 3 people made it to safety.
I could be dead now instead of alive, but I went out the kitchen door.
By the year's end, we had shown that when news was happening, we would have it. From the tragic stories.
With a first-hand account of what happened, Tiffany.
Well, Diane, many Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies here at headquarters spent the day trying to come to terms with what happened overnight. It's been particularly hard on the handful of officers who witnessed the deadly accident. For them, it's been a matter of trying to understand how what started as a robbery call ended with the death of a fellow officer.
To the late-breaking stories.
What's the latest, Juan?
Well, Brenda, right now I'm with PIO Officer Captain Brooks, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what's happening at this fire. What's the status right now?
The status right now, we're in a defensive mode at this time. Right now we have 2 ladder streams in operations. We also have 1 master stream device in operation along with 4 hand lines.
Report from Alabama's ABC 3340.
I'm Brenda LeDunn from the ABC 3340 newsroom. We have more breaking news to tell you about tonight. People are apparently being evacuated from a plant in Birmingham in the Norwood area because of a chemical spill. Now, the night team's Ike Pickett is live on the scene right now to tell us more. Ike, what have you found out?
Brenda, right now about 75 people so far have been evacuated. Fortunately, this is not
to the stories that had been anticipated for years.
The Mercedes-Benz M-Class debuts before 5,000 people in Vance, Alabama tonight.
It has been many, many years in the making, and now the German automakers...
And while the headline stories may be most remembered, there were stories of a different kind that also set us apart.
We got a call from Books of Millions that they had a 2-tone brown and white cow in their parking lot, and they needed us to come and get him away.
The bull has been a guest of businesses in the industrial park for the last week. Its owner died, and family members are trying to corral the lost member of the herd.
By the way, it took several days, but police and a veterinarian finally brought in the runaway bull, and we were there as well.
So, Brandon, Josh, as you can see, it was a remarkable year for news here at ABC 3340, and it's only the beginning.
Thanks, Linda and Dave. Of course, the biggest stories that we brought you, we didn't bring you from the anchor desk. The sports and weather stories, we brought you live from where they were happening.
And when we continue, we'll check in with the ABC 3340 weather and sports teams as this ABC 3340 special, A Year to Remember, continues.
From tornadoes to touchdowns, weather and sports coverage are a big part of what we do at ABC 3340.
And you're about to see how they've also become a part of our successes over the past year. First, we'll go to James Spann, Mark Prater, and John Ochu for a look at the year in weather.
Josh and Brenda, television weather in central Alabama is radically different than it was 1 year ago.
That's partly because of the green light we have here at ABC 3340 to go on the air and stay on the air when there's threatening weather.
It's also because of technology like our StormLink van and our pinpoint Doppler radar, the most powerful broadcast radar in Alabama.
But we really matured as a station on January 24th when a tornado hit Tuscaloosa. Central Alabama saw that storm covered like no other TV station had ever done before.
It rumbled in from the west late one January afternoon, and by the time dark fell, this storm had changed Tuscaloosa and television weather coverage forever. Okay, we have a photographer now who has a visual sighting of a tornado. Do we know his location? He is in Tuscaloosa County, east of Holt. Okay, we have a photographer in this area looking at this, and he has a visual report of a tornado. He is looking at this thing, in other words.
I have never seen anything like this. The food world is almost demolished. A car has flown through the air and gone to the roof of that food world. The Big B that's right next to the food world is basically not there. It is demolished.
Now, Brian, you were in Tuscaloosa when this tornado hit, and you actually got pictures of this. What I want to do right now is roll the tape, and Brian, you describe what you saw here.
All right, this was on Highway 216, just up from 5 Points. When I drove up on it, you see a lot of stuff in the movies, and then you think it's smaller. That was rather large. You can't really tell from that, but that covered a rather large area. I saw a lot of debris, people running pretty much in every direction. The food world down in that area, they lost their roof.
Where were you when you took these pictures, Brian?
Highway 216, about 2 miles from University Boulevard.
Okay, and this is the raw video. This hasn't been edited. And this was moving away from you. You were in the perfect part of this storm. You're back on that right rear flank. Where were you when this thing went over?
I got outside of the car and started to shoot it.
And just the amount of resources that were out there and the way we all came together and worked together was incredibly impressive even to me, and I was a part of it. Getting on the scene as quickly as we did and just blanketing the area with people, photographers, reporters, producers, anchors, everybody finding some little piece of information that the others didn't have, so that it all came together to create this incredibly large package.
We understand from witnesses that the tornado ripped into the parking lot. It actually bounced from the food world to the Big B and then ripped a path behind the food world into the Lynn Haven neighborhood. About 100 homes, from what we understand, are back there, but amazingly and thankfully, no serious injuries are reported tonight.
There were other severe weather outbreaks as well, and we were with you with updates all the way. But it was a different type of storm that sent us to the Gulf Coast, where Stormlink 3340, John Olshoe, and our news team took you into the heart of Hurricane Danny. That is Baldwin County, and there is a tornado warning in effect down here. A possible tornado coming inland right at Orange Beach. And of all places, that's where meteorologist John Olshoe is of our staff. John, have you seen any indication of a tornado where you are?
Yes, we did, James. We were filming, taking pictures of the ocean here, and let's go ahead and show that video. This is what we caught, and there you can see the rotation there. We were looking at the funnel forming and a water spout there, but of course, you know, as they form out there and the rotation comes inland, it can be a tornado. The winds have picked.
You can tell that we're proud of all of the things we've accomplished over the past year, the videos, the wonderful new weather technology. But what really matters is our ability to use those things to serve our viewers and help them protect themselves during times of severe weather. Josh, Brenda?
Thanks, guys. And just as we do during a regular newscast, we turn now from weather to sports.
That's right, and now the ABC 3340 sports team is ready to show you how they've taken the sports world by storm.
Josh and Brenda, there's no doubt that folks here in Central Alabama love their sports.
So we knew we'd have to start out being aggressive to bring you the kind of wall-to-wall coverage we knew you would demand.
But we tried to do it with a different attitude, sometimes controversial, sometimes offbeat, but always unique.
And there's no question our biggest success came right here at Legion Field, when we broke what had to be the biggest sports story of the year. The 1996 Alabama-Auburn game arrived with all the usual hoopla, but just before kickoff, we broke the only story that could have been bigger than the game itself. Bob, as I mentioned, I have been able to confirm through the coaching staff that this will indeed be Gene Stallings' last season as the head man here at Alabama. Can you give us any insight into that?
No, I'm just told that this is a rumor that comes up every fall about this time, and that sooner or later will probably be correct. I'm sure that when Gene's ready to make that decision, he will, and when he's ready to make that announcement, he will.
Do you have an inkling that that announcement could come after this ballgame?
No.
All right, Bob Bockrath, thanks so much for being with us. Although Mr. Bockrath will not confirm it, as I mentioned, I have confirmed it through a member of the Alabama coaching staff. This is a story that we will stay on throughout this game. So while the two teams squared off on the field, our team went to work off it, gathering statistics, reaction, and background about the coach who's about to say goodbye.
I just had a feeling, and I didn't know why, but I just had a feeling that it was time for me to sort of close this particular chapter. I'm not closing the book. I'm just going to close the chapter, and I'm going to step aside and let somebody else coach the team with.
To be a part of that was probably the biggest event in my life. Not knowing exactly what was going to happen. I guess that's what television news is about. But we didn't so much go out on a limb, but we just trusted our instincts, and everybody from production to news to sports to the assignment desk was ready, and at 6 o'clock we went on the air and reported it, and come 10 o'clock we owned the story.
We followed the Gene Stallings coverage with a special coverage of Alabama's appearance in the SEC Championship, and we followed both the Tide and Tigers to their bowl games. But football isn't the only sport people in Alabama get fired up for. We took the show on the road for Speed Weeks at Daytona, went around the track with the drivers at Talladega, and took you onto the 18th green at the Bruno's Memorial Classic. But whatever sport we were covering, we always tried to bring it to you in a way you'd never seen before.
I got it. Mikey, Baby, and Fit Candy, we pay for our vehicles. You're coming with me. Oh! Bill, I got money though. I'll buy the truck. I'll buy the truck. Just let me have it. I got the money.
So Josh and Brenda, it's been a big year in a state where sports is huge. But just like any other team, our team, sports producer Jason Allred and photographer Chris Lipinski, Mike Shore, Jeff Spiegel, and myself, we'll try and enhance our skills so we can enhance our coverage and bring you the kind of sports coverage you've become accustomed to.
Thanks, Mike. Now, you have seen some of our biggest successes, but there are some big things in store for our future as well.
And we'll show you our big plans as our Year to Remember special continues. It's been a year of change, growth, and success for ABC 3340 since we went on the air last September 1st.
But even though we are a year old, we've still got some growing to do. ABC 3340's Pam Huff takes a look at some of our plans for the future and our birthday present to Central Alabama.
You're looking at the biggest development in Alabama television since ABC 3340 went on the air 1 year ago. This is our new Channel 40 tower, under construction on top of Bald Rock Mountain in St. Clair County. By the end of October, the new tower will join our Channel 33 tower to the west, both about 2,000 feet above sea level, both broadcasting with 5 million watts, together giving us the most powerful television signal in Alabama.
There seems to be more competition for the news, particularly among the three of the stations. I think the addition of 3340 has created more competition.
Our personalities, our philosophy, and our very existence has raised the level of competition. But outside observers agree, the winners in this heightened race for news are the viewers themselves.
The news for Birmingham viewers is better than it was a year ago.
Having more stations, having more news reporters out there gives them more choice. It also gives them more perspectives on what's happening. And I think it helps the news business too, because when you have more competition, you work harder for your stories, I think.
Those of us here at ABC 3340 realize the level of the game is higher than ever before, but we're ready to meet the challenge.
We haven't reached the limits of our equipment yet. We haven't reached the limits of our talent yet. And we're always pushing to see what we can do to take the viewers and our product to the next level.
And I've been around here 15 years, and I've seen in a year, ABC 3340 take over as being a dominant force in this market. And the competition is very, very tough. The other stations do a great job, but it's an even playing field now.
It's not a quiet little place anymore.
As you can see, there are plenty of big things ahead for year 2 of ABC 3340 as we continue building our station around you.
And we want to thank you for welcoming us into your home for the past year, and we hope that you'll let us continue to serve you for many years to come.
And now we leave you with a look at the names of the people at ABC 3340 who have made it all possible and who have made the past year such a success.